All right, so one of the questions we always get is, the motivation. Why do people want to study managerial finance at Georgetown? And one of the goals we have here is we want to help mostly professional students who want to pursue additional training and education in the evenings and weekends to really advance their understanding of finance, as well as sometimes they might be in a different functional area, but they would like to learn something about finance. So this essentially is a way to introduce students into the fundamental finance. And of course, we're going to touch upon a set of tools and techniques we use for financial analysis, and more importantly, for decision making in general. And again, our focus here is not just using the finance for finance itself. It is really in the broader context of how to implement strategies and to achieve fundamentally the business goals. When we say business, doesn't really just limited to for-profit organizations. It's really broad, including government agencies as well as nonprofit organizations. And hopefully, at the end of the program, you would have a deeper understanding of those key concepts in finance. And of course, one of the language we speak in finance is using financial statements, also known as accounting statements. So there are going to be some component of accounting, but again, for different classes, there are different focus on accounting. I do believe we have one course kind of dedicated to financial statements, and of course, other courses will rely on some familiarity of the accounting knowledge. Of course, the heart and the soul of kind of financial analysis is this technique, not technology, called discount cash flow methodology that helps you to, in a way, to deal with the financing decisions, and also more broadly dealing with any sort of a project management decisions, whether a project's cost benefit analysis is in your favor. So that's really the broad background on why we want to study managerial finance. Again, the Georgetown, many of you know, it's a leading higher education institution in this area. And this area we have lots of professionals who desire to advance their understanding, and so that's why we provide this particular certificate program, just to meet that need. So maybe we'll move on to the next topic. Next slide, please. So there are a few faculty members here, and as you can see, there are two being listed here, but we actually have more than just two of us. My name is Andrew Feng. I am working for a regulatory agency. Also, I have worked in the financial industry with a number of firms over the years. And Daniel, he is a technology specialist and a strategist, and worked in a wide range of organizations, including I think the consulting side of the world, as well as the academic teaching side of the world. So again, the one of the unique attribute of the faculty members in the program is all of us are practitioners. We do have day job where we use the knowledge of financial analysis to accomplish the goals of our respective organizations. Also, we also tend to have pretty wide range of experiences with a number of different settings. So I think that would help to bring a lot of kind of a real world stories to kind of augment the textbook knowledge and instructions. So maybe you'll go to the next slide, please. Well, some more kind of a detailed learning objectives for this particular course. Of course, the bullet points here, they are representative, they're not exhaustive. But generally, we start with the fundamentals. Then we always pay attention to the context, to the environment. And of course, in finance, you cannot totally avoid numbers. So there are going to be quantitative aspects to this, whether it's in the financial statement format or it's in, say, financial data set format, especially when you deal with financial markets. There are large volume data for us to process and consume and to make sense out of it. And so some familiarity of the data sources and how to process and analyze data is a key focus here too. Of course, once you analyze it, that we're not done. The end goal is really trying to make sense. Make sense meaning to interpret and construct and find meanings, and hopefully that will support your decision making. And of course, there are a number of standard way of doing financial calculations. So some of these courses will walk you through, and also make you practice and use those calculations, because it's not just useful for this particular course or certificate program, but it's, it is really used in the real world and in many different settings. So that's an important aspect of it. There are some calculations involved, and later on when we go through the curriculum, you will see some courses are more focused on the quantitative aspect of it, and some are less so. But again, the end goal is to get you familiar with the set of standard tools and allow additional option if you want to further develop the quantitative skills. I do believe we have a course in financial modeling that is for people who really want to do some of the hands-on, using either spreadsheet or using some other tools to make financial forecasting, simulation, predictions, so on and so forth. And again, those are extremely useful. Doesn't matter where you are, you could be in the financial institution, you definitely need that. But if you're even in a nonprofit organization, you still need that for budgeting and planning purpose. So let's move on to the next slide. So here's a quick look. It's really just like a map here. They are within the certificate program. There are two kind of areas. One is what we call the required courses, and then there's another section is electives. And required courses, as the name indicates, you have to take it. You have to take each one of these and can't skip them. And elective courses, of course, it's your option, but you only need to choose one in order to complete the whole certificate program. And let me just say a little bit more about required courses. And you can see there is, the first one is the Principal Finance. That's really a foundational course. I would, if it's possible, I would recommend you take that course first. And because that will help you to absorb the content of some other courses much better. And the other one I want to mention is a financial statement analysis. Again, financial statement here is really about accounting statements. These are the standard documents and schedules all the US public traded companies have to publish at least quarterly and annually. So that is the language we use oftentimes when we talk about business. We want to assess the business conditions, the health, and the prospect. We often rely on these financial statements. One is because they are a summary of the business, and more importantly, they are the standard templates and standard set of categories we can use to compare one company to another. Otherwise, it would be extremely impossible to compare a company in, say, an airline business versus a company in the consumer product business. So again, the financial statements accounting is the kind of the language we use because it helps to translate different business results into a common platform. And for the students who have taken these, or they have enough knowledge of background of the basics of finance as well as accounting, the quantitative background is somewhat important too. That's related to the analysis interpretation of financial data. This course used to be called, the old title was Business Statistics, but we about a year ago, we revamped the content to meet the needs of the emphasis on analysis interpretation rather than just a pure statistical exercise. So again, those are the kind of the three I want to point out. They are, if you're thinking about the first wave of courses within the program, I would say start with one of the three will probably be the best optimal sequence. And of course, after that, international finance will take you to the global setting about different economies, different currency regimes, different interest rate environment, different financial regulatory environment, and that also gets into actually slightly different accounting rules. So that's the international finance part. Again, as I mentioned, you can't really be done with finance without some more additional quantitative training. So the financial modeling is a course such, I think it really zoom in or drill down the modeling aspect. In this case, when we say modeling, really about using historical today's financial information and trying to project into the future. So oftentimes it requires or involves the scenario analysis, sensitivity analysis, forecasting, and also a lot of times it requires a deeper understanding of the industry trend and the market dynamics. So that's, again, it's a required course. And there's one more course at the very, very end. It is at the end of this required course list for a good reason. It's called Capstone course, Capstone Managerial Finance. It is a course that we have put together in the past year. The goal is to have, as the name implies, to have a place where you pull everything together. So the Capstone course is structured as a case study. So you will be given a business case. You will be also provided with a platform where you can run that business as if you are the CFO or you're one of the financial managers in a particular business setting, and you get to make decisions and you get to see the results. So the platform is a business simulation platform. So it's an application, and the background is a hypothetical business. In this case, it's a technology firm for the ones I have taught once in the past year. So again, the course here actually brings together the quantitative analysis, the fundamental concepts of finance, the analysis interpretation of quantitative data, both in terms of financial statements as well as market data. In this case, your competitive positioning. So it gets into a little bit higher level of a strategy from a financial perspective. But in that particular case, you also, as a higher level financial manager, you have to actually understand how finance fits into the overall business. So in this particular case, there are aspects of research and development. There are aspects of product marketing, and there are aspects of legal, regulatory landscape. Then, of course, there are aspects of within the industry, what kind of competitions you're facing, who you want to be. So those are, again, it's meant to have a course that really simulate a real world business decision making as if you're a senior financial manager in the firm. And hopefully that is a course that can really bring all the key pieces that you have acquired from taking other courses together in one place. So I will say the capstone course, I believe, Julia probably can correct me, I believe we either strongly recommend people take at the last course. We actually do require that you have taken other courses before you can sign up for it. And then let me just touch upon the elective courses very quickly. There are three. Again, it's the courses here are set in the kind of our particular market, our particular professional learners demographic in mind. One is if you are indeed dealing more with the financial markets, dealing with the pricing, dealing with valuation, then the capital markets and valuation course definitely is a good way to further your learning. And then, of course, these days you keep hearing about risk management, and financial risk management is a growing area, and there are a lot more jobs being available in that particular area of the financial management. So if you are interested to become a risk manager from the financial side, definitely I will highly recommend that will be the course for you to consider. Again, we do have another higher level course on accounting called business accounting that just further your accounting knowledge. Again, if you happen to work in the accounting area, I will certainly recommend that course. So hopefully this slide gave you a kind of a high level view of what's involved if you are signing up for the professional certificate program in managerial finance. So there are required courses, and there are some optional courses for you to pick. So altogether should be, I think it's Julia, I'll let you address that. I think we have a separate slide on it.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I totally got it. All right, hi everyone. My name is Julia. I'm one of the registration assistants and enrollment managers for some of these programs. It's a total of, going off of what Andrew just said, when you take all 6 courses, it'll be 12.6 CEUs. It stands for Continuing Education Units, and that's pretty much the non-credit equivalent of a credit in a degree program. 1 CEU is equal to 10 hours, so this is over 120 hours of education you'll be receiving. And what Andrew said before as well, we do not require that you take the capstone last, but it is absolutely recommended that you do. You can take all the courses in any order you please, whatever works best for you, but we always recommend taking the first course first and the last course last. And they're usually scheduled that way as well across each semester. So in the spring, they'll be listed in order. In the fall, they'll be listed in order, and you can mix and match as necessary, but that's how we arrange them, just to drill that in, that the capstone should be taken last if you can. Full attendance is required. Now, due to the pandemic, we have everything right now in flex learning format. And that just means it's a live Zoom session on the same times and days as it's already scheduled. So there will be attendance. You will have to log in at a certain time. There is, let's see, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that they are Friday evenings and all day Saturdays. Is that correct for most
You
of
are
them?
correct, Julia. It's always Friday evenings for 3 hours and Saturday all day. And
Perfect.
Friday evening starts at 6:30. So that should hopefully, for most of the professionals, you have wrapped up your normal workday.
Perfect. And then no more commuting. Don't have to take the metro into DC or anything. You just log on at 6:30. You'll get links to the Zoom classrooms in your Canvas and email accounts. So you can just click the link, attend, and log off when you're done. That's it. Normally during the long hours of the Saturday, which I believe is around from 9 to 4, you will get a lunch break. You'll get some small stretch breaks in between. We know how exhausting it is to be in front of a Zoom camera for 8 straight hours. So no worries there. You'll get plenty of breaks. Everything should be good. And then we have confirmation that the spring 2021 will also be in this format. So until things drastically improve and then remain improved with the pandemic, we'll be remaining in flex learning and online formats until things improve. So more about things like tuition and funding. The total tuition for all 3 modules, so all the courses, is $7,385. All 6 courses total together is that much. All the materials are included. I know it says you must bring a laptop or tablet to class, but you just need to own one. No need to come to class anymore. And we have several options for funding, and everyone will be receiving a recording of this PowerPoint presentation as well as the presentation that we gave with us speaking. But once you have the slide deck, you'll be able to click on this and everything to find the full list of employer funding options. You can do a third-party payment with employers if you are an alumni of Georgetown, be that either School of Law, School of Medicine, any degree program, or even another certificate that you took a while back. We just need to confirm it first, and we'll add you to the alumni group, and then you can get a 10% discount. We also have VA benefits if you have a GI Bill to use up. There's a list of private education loans on our website as well, and third-party billing. We also accept SF-182s. And if you are a federal government employee, we have an OPM discount of 10%. And unfortunately, that is only for federal government employees and not for contractors. I'm so sorry. And then this is how to register. So there's no application. This is just like online retail. You go to the website, add the courses you want to a shopping cart, and check out. And that's it. If you do not already have a bachelor's degree, you just need to fill out a short form saying that I do not have one. Here's why I'm qualified to take this course anyway. And normally you just attach a resume or a link to your LinkedIn profile, and that's enough for us. We just need to see that you have equivalent experience or the fact that you won't be lost in this program. If you have good enough experience or have professional, work in this area, you'll be fine. No worries. But you just add the courses you want to a shopping cart, create a profile, and check out. That's it. You'll pay for everything all at once. If you have more than $4,000 worth of classes in your checkout cart, then you can do a payment plan, which is lovely. It's interest-free. It is 4 equal payments of 25%. So that's the best way to go about it. We know that there's been trouble with Google Chrome recently, that there was an update. So we always recommend using Firefox. That's been the saving grace for lots of people. Firefox has not had any issues so far. Google Chrome is a little bit dodgy when it comes to the checkout process since that update happened. That's about it though. We're gonna open it up for questions. I see we already have one. Here we go. Savio asks, can the CEUs for the Certificate of Finance be transferred to a master's program at Georgetown if I were to later enroll in the master's? Unfortunately, no. The CEUs do not equate over to full credits. Something that might happen though, this is a common question we get. Within Georgetown, it'd be more difficult, but if you went to a different university or different school, they might see you took this whole certificate, which is 120 hours of education, you took all these different classes, and even though they're not credit hours, they might see the certificate and equate it over to maybe 2 credits or maybe 2 classes, maybe even just one class like, oh, you took this, that means, Managerial Finance 205 and 206, you don't need to take. This clearly covers everything that we have. It'll be a little bit more difficult if you try to do that within the same school, so within the Georgetown system, only because we know that we made these so they couldn't be equated to each other. You can still argue it and prove what you learned, and they might equate that to 1 class or maybe 2, but it just might be more difficult, if that answers your question. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to type them in. Andrew and I are here until 1, but we'll slow down or end early if no one has any questions. But if people have questions about, say, the curriculum or what the books will be like, the amount of homework in between classes, etc. And then Andrew, if you have anything you'd like to add in that you might think you've forgotten, just let me know and jump on in.
Great, thank you, Julia. I will just wait for questions, and if none, I will probably say something about the homework and the efforts required outside the live sessions.
Perfect. Actually, why don't you start with that right now? Looks like we have 1 or 2 people typing, but why don't we just start with that right now while we wait for them to finish?
Great. So, one of the questions I've been teaching at Georgetown, this is my 6th year teaching. And so I've heard a lot of questions. So one of the questions is, hey, what is the time commitment, right? So for example, one course typically is 18 hours. That's total over the weekends. And what are the other time required? My answer always is like, probably it's safe to budget same amount of hours as as the time for digestion, for review, for homework, for team projects, for additional reading. So if equivalently, I would say maybe 18 hours of your own time. The reason I say that is a lot of these courses are somewhat taught in what I call accelerated or compressed fashion. Again, because the nature of the professional education, we try not to teach the course as if you're a freshman in an undergrad program. So with all that said, again, the classroom time, now it's the Zoom time in itself may not be sufficient to get everything totally absorbed and understood. So oftentimes we do leverage different tools. For example, assignments, some reading material, some homework problems, multiple choices, and some a team project for people to work together to apply the concept they just learned in their own time, using the more fashionable words in an asynchronized way, right? So you can schedule anytime whenever you found some downtime during the week to work on it. The other kind of analogy I always use is I'm a runner, also I do yoga. I always say, you can't really, be a good runner just by watching a tape, or being a good yogi by just watching or read a yoga book. You actually have to do something on your own. Again, that's really how we learn, is we get to use it. And one of the ways to use it is you use it right after the class, in between the 2 weekend classes. And for some of the courses I teach, I also have, doesn't mean to scare anyone away, I do have a final test. And again, the test there is meant to be a way for you to have an honest self-assessment, saying, hey, after 18 hours of classroom time and after my own time putting to absorb and digest and learn, how much do I retain at the end, right? Then it's a way to find out, hey, maybe this area I didn't quite understand as well as I thought. Maybe I will do a little bit more. So again, some classes have final tests. Again, those are in these days they're open book. But again, it is really designed not to scare you, but it provide a venue for you to do a proper self-assessment. But again, so the comments I'm providing here is really in general. Each class, each course may be different. Depends on the instructor. It depends on the syllabus. But in general, we highly, highly recommend you allow or plan sufficient time outside the synchronized learning time to do the proper review and understanding and digesting and retaining. At the end of the day, we don't necessarily want you to just have a fun process of 2 weekends, and we really want you to be able to take away something useful, add something to your toolbox that you could use for your own personal financial decision making, as well as appropriate work place applications, whether it's budgeting, whether it's planning, whether it's a particular financial analysis. So again, I probably said too much about what's out there, but the key message here is yes, the time and effort outside the class is definitely very helpful and expected.
Excellent. That must have been their question because everyone stopped typing. We'll leave it open for just a minute or two longer. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to type them in. If not, let me send in the chat box our email address. It's also right here if you have any questions, but we have another one. Both of them go to the same email box. This one's just a tiny bit shorter. It's pdcprograms@georgetown.edu. There we go. And our direct number is on there as well. This is the number that goes straight to me and my 2 colleagues, and we can help you with any registration information. Andrew, if there's any super specific questions, still let them come to me, but I will forward them on to Andrew if it's something that I cannot answer. And if anyone has any other questions, just let us know via email. No one's typing, looks like we're all clear. Andrew, any final words?
Well, again, I would definitely encourage people to really consider and look at the program. And I think it's really a value added. Again, I'm a finance person. A lot of times, we teach cost benefit analysis. I think the cost is pretty low relative to a lot of it. Other ways to get the same type of learning, and it's 126 hours. And if you are familiar with other more traditional way of learning, the cost differential definitely is there. Again, it's different in the way it is designed for professionals, designed for the highly motivated students. And based on the feedback I have received from past students, and I'll kind of maybe break down, a couple of typical profiles. One is, majority of my students are young professionals, so they take this because they want to advance in the career, or maybe they are in a different functional area. They want to transition into accounting or finance. And the second is I do have people who wanted to start their own business, but they figured, beyond the great ideas they have about their business, they probably should know something about accounting. It will help their business. Also, with a small business, you can not to deal with, say, banks to get a small business loan, to deal with tax reporting, all these things. So all of these require you to have the basic financial knowledge. For example, if you go to a loan officer, apply for a loan, they will ask to see your financial statements and business plan. You actually have to know what they are and what they should look like. And then there's a third category of students which I have are the people who have retired, but they want to start a second career. One great story was, was a retired federal judge who's in her 70s, and she's extremely accomplished in her own career. But since retirement, she's been on the board of a couple of technology startups. Then she figured, as a board member, you probably should. It doesn't hurt to know something about finance. So that's another kind of an area of students where I get is they have accomplished career already, but they're doing something new, and they are trying to acquire the basic accounting or finance knowledges. Therefore, they can be successful at either their voluntary work or their second career. So that's just some more background for our prospect students to think about. And again, I highly recommend it. I have talked to many of the people I've known about the program. I'll be happy to talk to anyone about the program. And again, Julia, thank you for the opportunity for me to speak here at the seminar. I've been having a long association with the program, and I've seen many success stories from my students. So I definitely would encourage everyone to look at it. And if this is not the right program for you at this time, please consider for your future training needs. Or if you know of someone who might be interested in this, are looking for learning opportunities, I think now with Flex platform, it actually totally expand the reach and the ability for students to take this class. You don't have to deal with the famous DC rush hour commute, and you can take it from the comfort of your home. And so I think that helps a lot too. I'm going to stop there. Julia, see if you want to add something to that, or to see if you have received any additional questions from our audience.
No more questions, but I think you covered everything. Thank you so much, Andrew, and so much everyone else for joining. You'll receive sometime this week a recording of this whole presentation, and with us answering the questions at the end. Everyone have an excellent rest of your week. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Julia.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.